For some of you, just to give you an awareness, I'm just back from my vacation, so I've been like around 5,000 miles in the sky, and the last thing I wanted to do was do a presentation so high up. So I feel like I've never got down from the sky at all. So in terms of the topic, it's basically how we have unlocked our advanced analytics with unified data access control using Immuta. So just to give you an introduction, I'm Vineeth. Are you on my right side? Yeah. So I'm Vineeth Menon. I'm heading the Data Lake Engineering Swedbank. I basically have close to 17 years of experience. I started off from telecom, then was in the manufacturing and other industries, and then finally in the bank for the last 4.5 years. Unlike Roche, I decided to put my photo rather than Swedbank's photo. So I hope this presentation, and I hope nobody else is there from Nordics here, so that you don't send this outside. So in terms of people who are not familiar with Swedbank, Swedbank is the largest bank in Sweden. It's also one of the third largest banks in Nordics. It has around 7 to 8 million private customers, close to 500,000 corporate customers. It has a bigger background and a history than Roche in terms of that it's 200 years old. So it's a bit older than Roche. To the agenda, I will give you a bit of an overview in terms of our journey so that you understand how we landed up where we are. Then in terms of talking about our enterprise analytics platform and also in terms of how we've been leveraging and using Immuta in our journey in the whole cloud migration. And then a bit of an insight into what we want to do further. So giving an overview, I think we started our journey into the data lake around 2017. We started with what we called an on-prem data discovery platform. This was basically a Hadoop-based ecosystem, open platform for letting our users to kind of leverage and kind of build on a data potential, or unlock the data potential values that could be done from a Hadoop-based ecosystem. Till then, the world in Swedbank lived on the warehouses side. It was an environment with not the production data, more of a discovery environment for just having our users try to build on models and insights. It was pretty effective, and as we started and embarking on the journey, we immediately knew that the next step in this journey would be to build an operational data lake, which is a productionized environment, to ensure that whatever prototypes and explorations which were done by our analytical teams could be actually productionized and actually gain insights into the real-time market stuff. So we built on the operational data lake in 2018. It was very successful. We rolled on a lot of use cases, especially around anti-money laundering and fraud and risk management use cases. And then we were very happy. But soon enough, close to 2019, end of 2019, people started speaking that Hadoop is dead. So they said, okay, didn't we start this journey just now? And then suddenly Hadoop was dead. And also our on-prem vendors decided that at some point of time, around last year, that they would want to also get into the end-of-life support with Hadoop. So we had two options. Either we moved into some other Hadoop-based ecosystem, get a new vendor, get a new support, or try to look forward into the future in terms of moving towards cloud. Thankfully, we had at that time, as maybe saying that the right person at the right time, we had the right CEO on board at that point of time, and the first statement he made was that we must be cloud first. This was music to ears of many of us who've been trying to onboard on this journey. You know how challenging it is with a bank and trying to get into cloud. Each instance before the CEO made the statement, whenever we spoke about cloud, we were just trashed down and said that just mind your own business and continue with what you're doing. So that gave birth to what you see on board, what we call Enterprise Analytics Platform, or EAP in short. It's very funny how the name came in. We were sitting in a bar, me and my boss, we was having a couple of drinks, and then we in sense got a mail that, look, we need to have a name for this platform because we started off with the journey. And within the bar discussion, we said, okay, let's have it EAP. I never knew that I would be presenting in London and with this name now. So that shows that how certain things happen. So in terms of the vision was very clear. What we wanted to do was have a centralized, unified, compliant, secure, advanced analytics platform for the bank. This was very clear from the start, even when we even were formulating on this journey, this is what we wanted to do. And the key parts were to be compliant, to be secure, which was extremely important considering that we were a bank. And every person, I think someone referred to this, that the most easiest answer when you go to a legal and compliance department is that they will give you a no as a default answer. So you say cloud, no. You say data, no. So that's the most important, most simplest answer for them. So we had to ensure that we had to change that mindset in that sense. So that was our vision in terms of what we wanted to build. In terms of benefits from the vision, of course, we were on-prem, so we wanted to reduce on the overall processes which were there on-prem to have faster onboarding, better training, because we had great partners in Microsoft, Databricks, and Immuta in terms of what they provided in the training, so there was much better facilitation rather than what we're doing on-prem. In terms of reducing the time to market, because we had an opportunity right now that from the discovery environment in the cloud itself, you could play around with the productionized data, which was never the case because we were having a data discovery environment where we're working with test data and then eventually moving to the productionized environment where suddenly we're moving with the production data and then the models might not run. They were retests, reruns, and longer time with the whole productionization part of it. But this was removed as we moved towards cloud. Then also in terms of that, we've always, when we talked about advanced analytics, we wanted to scale this. It was not sufficient to build a platform and have just 1 or 2 users from the bank utilizing this platform. We wanted to scale it, and that's why we wanted to get the maximum value out of the data of a 200-old history of a bank. There was so much of value that we could produce from data like this. And also in terms of the collaboration across. So I think someone also spoke about this, I think in the panel discussion, in terms of the training and the support that's needed to educate the users in value of it. Because when we started off with this journey and we went in, when we started on the on-prem journey, it was funny when we went in and explained and said that, hey, look, we do data lake and all this cool stuff, Hadoop, big data and all that stuff. They heard, they said thank you, and then they never turned back because it didn't make any sense. What would they do with that? So there was an educational process to understand that, okay, what is a relevant advanced analytics use case? So that kind of a collaboration from users who've been using it, from our partners, having those sessions, educating them, and making them realize the value around this. So that was the kind of vision benefits which we wanted to achieve with this. So once we onboarded, started with this journey, one thing which we wanted was that how can we achieve unified cloud data access and control for both the exploration, discovery, and advanced analytics part. Someone in the panel, I think it was you, who said that choose your partners wisely. So we also decided that, okay, we're not going to build it in-house and do everything in-house. We're going to rely on this part in terms of the unification of the cloud data access and control. We're going to rely on a partner who's probably proven its mettle in this field rather than we trying to reinvent the wheel. Some of the criteria which were important that we had defined in terms of that when we evaluate our vendors, there were certain criteria we wanted to ensure that those checklists are met. So first thing was simplified policy management part of it. We knew the struggles we had with the on-prem part, so we wanted a very simplified policy management as a key part of it. We wanted another part in terms of a data security platform, providing the really good data obfuscation methods. We wanted a data security platform providing or classifying the sensitive data discovery part. We've talked about this. I think there were a lot of sessions here around this in terms of the need and the important part of it. I think more described around it that it's not sufficient to identify the sensitive data, but also kind of see how we can use it to the advantage of it. So it's not just sufficient because we all know that in a bank you will have sensitive data, but how you can unlock the potential of it and how you can work with it. So that was the key part. So actionable part of data. And then also in terms of having a best-in-class auditing and reporting part. So after, with this criteria set, we set up on the evaluation, we went on this journey, we had the POCs, we had numerous discussions, and then eventually we shortlisted and selected Immuta as our vendor, as a partner to go along with this journey. So I'm very happy to hear that it's not just us who tortured Pratyush and Simeon. Roche also was torturing them, but they were extremely collaborative. They answered every single question. They were ready to do all kind of proof of concepts around what we wanted so that we made our right choices because it was extremely important, right? Because we were embarking on a journey which was new to us. It was new to the whole bank. So it was important that we had the right people along with us in this journey when we wanted to do migration from on-prem to cloud. So we had the partner. which was fine. But it was not just about the criteria which we wanted to just do, right? We wanted to also solve some of the challenges in an expanding cloud data ecosystems. So some of the challenges which we wanted to solve along with Immuta was, I think these are challenges which are common with most of the people who've been using this in terms of the role explosion part or the role proliferation. I think someone talked about this also, that the challenges around it, I think it was Roche where they started with the whole data mesh and suddenly they saw that, okay, it's not sufficient with 2 or 3 roles. And this has been a common problem. So we wanted that we solve this along with the Immuta as our partner around this. The second point of it in terms of the challenges is hard to classify data. This is what we talked about, the sensitive data discovery. It's in terms of identifying, in terms of locating, in terms of also ensuring that this data is actionable. So easier and a simpler and an automated way of classifying the data rather than all the manual processes which we went through in our journey. And also in terms of the solution, in terms of ensuring that the siloed data protection ends, because that's what is common in large enterprises. You would notice with anybody working in a large enterprise that everybody has their own unit, has them some way of protecting on their data, and they continue to do that. The problem with that is that when you want to really unlock the potential value, you're working with less data sets because you don't have an opportunity because somewhere else it's protected in some other way. And that also means that there is an additional operational cost to it. That also means that you're not ever going to become a data-driven decision-making organization. And that also means that you have an inefficient storage methodology in terms of how you're handling it. So this is so. Apart from just having a selection criteria, we wanted jointly with Immuta to solve these challenges with the modern data cloud from the soup. So with this as the intro part, what we decided to move forward was with our migration journey. This was very interesting because when we started off with the journey, I think we spent the first 9 months purely talking with the compliance and legal teams around what we wanted to do. It was one of the most funniest conversations I've ever had when we started because we spoke to the legal team. I spoke to them for 45 minutes on what we wanted to do. They didn't understand a thing what we wanted to do. They spoke to me for 45 minutes on what they expected me to do. I didn't understand a thing of what they told me also. And this went on for, it's not just one session. This went on for a couple of months. The first 2-3 months, we just had conversations. They invited additional members from their side. I invited additional members from my side. But we just didn't understand. So, and this is what happens when you're the first ones to embark on a journey in an organization like bank, and without quoting it outside, where we've had all the kind of fraud and money laundering scandals involved before, nobody ever wanted to say yes to this. That was the last thing. So they said, okay, it's very nice and all that, but no, you're not going pro. But what's the challenge? I mean, we've shown you encryption guidelines, we've shown you all this. That's all good, but no. So, because they didn't understand. So, and that's where we've got really good help from the partners and all that, because it's not just, it's a narration, right? This is not just a journey. It's a narration in terms of what we wanted to achieve and how others have done it. We wanted to explain to the bank and say that, okay, there is a world beyond of Nordics where humans exist and data exist. And in that world, people have embarked on this journey, have been successful. There have been our partners who've been helping the others in this journey. So, well, eventually after a 9-month period, and we had all kinds of problems during that time. The Schrems 2 came in. Every single thing which could go wrong had come in during our migration journey. And there were some points where we discussed and said that why the hell did we start? So, but well, we went on. We got great support. We ensured after 9 months, we got our compliance process agreed, we got the security documents approved, and we embarked on this migration journey. This slide is a bit old because this is the slide when we actually ensured that we had the entire advanced analytics platform migrated into cloud. This was the stats that time. And then in June 2022, we decommissioned our on-prem platform. So these are the stats from that time. So we had 50 sources encapsulated with 650 plus tables migrated, over 100 terabytes of cloud storage, the data migrated towards cloud, 600 plus ETL jobs which are running, close to 50 analytical and non-analytical models which are running today cloud, and also integrating with our rest of the BI ecosystem in terms of the downstream integrations which are needed for our users. And all this in a compliant, approved security and compliance with all the regulations part of it. I must also state during this that we are probably the first bank still in the Nordics to have our advanced analytics platform in the cloud. So I think that's a great achievement. It's not just an achievement for Swedbank, it's also an achievement for our partners, Microsoft, Databricks, and Immuta, in terms of how they've collaborated and helped us in achieve this. So this slide was titled, Why Immuta? Probably I was still in jet lag mode. So it's actually in terms of the benefits of how we've chosen with the solution, right? So in terms of the faster data access which Immuta provides, what we've seen, and we've been able to quantify this, I think in the cab this morning, and this is the reason I didn't answer to some of the questions in the cab because I thought I'll present it here. We've been able to achieve faster cloud data access by improving the process efficiency by 5x times, right? Because with this kind of an approach and ability to have a data accessible faster rather than going through the whole long process in terms of ensuring that the policies are set, in terms of ensuring how the data security is set up and all that stuff. By having a once set and enforce all policy system, we've been able to improve our process efficiency in our journey by 5x times. We've been also able to improve the time in terms of onboarding the people and in terms of eventually the go-to-market part of it by 3x times by having a fewer data policies, which was also a significant advantage because previously it was couple of people sitting there, getting the requests in Jira in terms of having this, manually trying to do this. They will have a prioritized list. Eventually, by the time the user gets access to it, he probably has the kind of lost on the importance of the use case and all that. So with fewer data policies, with automated and setting up of environments and all that, we've been able to save around 3x time in terms of data part. And all this without compromising on the data security and compliance part. I think someone spoke, I don't remember who it was, who said that it requires not just the same level of security and compliance which you have on-prem. You need more improved data security and compliance when we move to cloud. And that was the main part. So it was important that we improve on the process efficiency, which is related with operational efficiency, which I think we had a discussion in the morning. It was important in terms of the time saving overall, in terms of onboarding our users, ensuring that they can get faster actionable insights into the data, build on their models, and eventually get into the productionization part of it. But also very important that we did this under the purview of the security and the compliance standards and requirements which we had to meet as a bank in that sense. So this is some of the features. I'm not going to go into the details, but if you look at it in terms of the bold ones are the ones which we already have with high maturity, along with Immuta. We have it in the boxes around Discover, Secure, and Monitor. I'm very happy to hear that now we'll have a Detect box going forward, as we heard from Mo. So probably the next time when I present to you, we will have one more box in terms of what we're going to do with the audit and reporting part of it, and having the Detect part of the box also there, and some kind of maturity around it. But otherwise, it's a constant evolving process, as you would see further in the roadmap in terms of how we're proceeding, and then also in terms of that how we want to build our whole governance part of it. So looking at the last slide in terms of the roadmap, it's a journey. It's been a great journey in terms of where we started, but there is still more lot of work to do. So what we're looking at it in 2023 is primarily around data dictionary. We've started off with this journey, but in terms of building a data catalog within our platform, which helps our users to understand on the technical metadata that's available on EAP. We want to also provide our users with a secure and compatible queryable interface or a queryable layer using Immuta and Databricks for helping our users to do on their prototype and exploration part of it. We also want, or one of the particular use cases we have is where our users say that, okay, you know, we want to just do a prototyping part of it. We just want to explore on the data as a data scientist and work on it. We don't have a purpose right now, but we want to work on it. And we've been enforcing on the purpose part. So we also want to give an opportunity by anonymizing the data, using the privacy enhancing techniques which Immuta has been providing, to build on the anonymization so that we can give an opportunity for our users to also kind of do this kind of a prototype and exploration part of it. We also started with bring your own data. We are very high in our agenda in terms of self-service analytics. So this is a key aspect in terms of that the users can bring their own data. So this is also an important part, and how it is still in terms of that how the sensitive data discovery and all that is still facilitated, even though the users are facilitated bringing their own data. And then we have few accelerators in our journey in terms of looking at privacy by design, security by default, and all that stuff in our journey. So in conclusion, I would say that it's been a great journey. It's not been any easy to go through this process. We started with the whole cloud initiation, and in terms of looking at it, the first meeting we happened to do was on Feb 14th, 2020. So it was very romantic to start with this cloud journey. And then we continued on. We brought in our partners. We went through the whole compliance checks. We got the migration done. We ensured that we decommissioned our on-prem platforms. But I would still say that the journey is started, because what we did till the migration was very clear to us in terms of that we knew what our end goal is. We knew that we had to migrate. But now it's where we want to really use the opportunity and take the head start we've done when compared to our competitors and really bring it to our advantage, expand on the advanced analytics, scale it, inform the users who are not even familiar with it within the bank still, ensure on what other people, other users, other companies have done, like what we heard in the story with Roche in terms of data mesh, looking at it. We're starting on that journey. We're trying to explore on it. It's not, again, easy. It's going to be the next big challenge, but we definitely want to go there in terms of the advantages we've seen from other companies. So in summary, I think it's been a great journey, but I still believe it's a start, and I'm very thankful for our partners and thankful to Immuta for this journey, and I hope that we continue with this journey going together and looking forward for it. Thank you.